Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is November 28th, 2025, and John Laporta, in an extensive interview, has hit back at Florentino Perez and Real Madrid. Also, while doing that, Laporta defended Javier Tebas and Ronald Araujo. And finally, Hansi Flick has sent a little bit of a wake up call to his players. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and I'm still away from home. I'm still away from my YouTube studio. This is why I'm doing this short live. This is not a podcast, so I won't be reading the comment section. This is just to give you all the Barcelona news and updates while I'm on the road. On Sunday, I will be back home. So starting Sunday, it's back to your regularly scheduled videos and podcast. Now, let's dive right into the news because Jan Laporta has hit back at Florentino Perez. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I made a video about this. It's on the channel if you want to watch it with more detail. But in the most recent General Assembly that Florentino Perez did at addressing the Real Madrid members, he decided to attack Barcelona with the Negreira case, saying that, he didn't understand how Barcelona for so many years paid the vice president of the CTA, someone with lots of power, which of course we know that's all bullcrap. Negreira was one of the many vice presidents of the CTA. His role was fully honorary. He had no power. But of course, that the facts don't matter to Florentino Perez. He also said that referees favored Barcelona, and he brought up that stupid chart with the red cards, the total of red cards that Madrid have received during those years where Barcelona were the best. Anyways, again, if you want to see those statements in more detail and my opinion to them or my reaction to them, it's on the channel. But Jan Laporta decided to respond to Florentino Perez's statements, and this is what the Barcelona president had to say. Now that I remember the statements made at Madrid Assembly, which I haven't had a chance to comment on, and now that I'm in Andorra, that's where he did the interview, I'll address them. I think they're out of line. They revealed Madrid's obsession with Barca. Could not agree more. It seems they have to talk about Barca to justify who know what. I know what they're trying to justify, their failure. They're constantly involved in the legal proceedings of the Nereida case, which they're dragging out like chewing gum because they know there's nothing to it. But it's a way of justifying something that isn't true. Barca has never bribed referees, and referees generally don't favor Barca. They've always favored Madrid. I mean, this is a fact, ladies and gentlemen. This is not an opinion. Statistically speaking, Madrid have been, excuse me, the most favored team in the history of football when it comes to refereeing calls. And to come out and say that somehow referees are against them is absolutely ridiculous. Now, John Laporta continued to give you an example. Last week, Madrid scored two goals that, in my opinion, clearly involved Bellingham's arm and Vinicius breaking Iñaki's nose. Those goals shouldn't have stood, and now Barca would be leading the league. Of course, he's talking about Real Madrid's win against Elche because, again, these refs favor Madrid so much that you don't even have to look at history. All you have to do is just go back to the last match. And the last match was Real Madrid versus Elche, where Real Madrid drew 2-2 with two goals that shouldn't have been allowed. And had those goals not been allowed, like Laporta said, Barcelona would be first in the league. I want to say La Liga and then in the league. I said La Ligue. Anyways, John Laporta continued. They have a persecution complex against the best period in Barca's history. They didn't like that Barca was the world's leading team from 2004 to 2015 when Barca was dominant, and they're trying to find excuses that lead nowhere. Again, 100% agree. This is why Real Madrid keep bringing up the whole Negreira case, because they simply cannot handle the fact that for so many years, Barcelona were the best team in the world, that Barcelona consistently destroyed them. But no, they can't accept that. So they have to come up with weak-ass excuses. There was the whole Bierato scandal where they were like looking at the referee numbers. Oh, look, Barcelona get less red cards. Well, maybe because they played better than you. Maybe because you had two players called Ramos and Pepe who are absolute animals, butchers, who would go out there to break legs. maybe that explains why Madrid had more red cards during that period of time. Then came the whole doping accusations that Barcelona players were doping. And now, of course, the Negreira case. Because why? They cannot handle the fact that Barcelona were better than them. And instead of being grown, mature adults, instead of being men, what do they choose? They choose to be little crying bitches. Excuse after excuse after excuse. Because that's what mediocre people do. They don't accept defeat, they accept excuses. But anyways, we continue. Laporta then said, we were the team that played the best football, recognized, admired, and esteemed for what we gave, for what we did, and admired for how we did it. We won many titles, and Barca's style of play was admired all over the world. So don't make excuses. Thank you. Stop making excuses. Madridistas, stop being little bitches. Grow the fuck up and accept the fact that Barcelona were better than you. It's not that difficult. If they're caught up in this Barcelonitis, I'm delighted because there are usually times when Barca is successful and triumphant. Real Madrid's television channel is trying to influence referees every week. And to those statements, I say to Laporta, bravo, because I 100% agree with everything. Again, this is just Real Madrid looking for excuses because they can't accept the fact that Barcelona were better. And then they go and talk about referees favoring Barcelona when, historically speaking, they're the ones who've always been favored. And in fact, they're the ones who are constantly trying to influence their referees for the past 2 seasons. Every week, Real Madrid TV issues video after video trying to put pressure on whatever referee they get assigned by saying that they are, always against them and blah, blah, blah. So they're the ones getting favored. They're the ones influencing referees. But then they point at Barca and try to make it out like Barca, oh, the only reason we were successful is because Negreira. Florentino Perez said Negreira payments coincided with the best Barcelona in history. You know what else coincided with? The best player in history, Messi, the best midfield in history, Iniesta, Xavi, Busquets, the best defense in history, Puyol, Piqué. Maybe that's why Barcelona were so triumphant, because we also had the best coach in history, Pep Guardiola, not because of Negreira, because let's not forget, Barcelona also won the Champions League. What, did Negreira also pay UEFA referees for that? How about the World Cup? Spain won the World Cup in 2010 with mostly Barca players. How do you explain that? Did Negreira also pay FIFA? There's no explanation. Why? Because this is not based on logic. It's not based in facts. It's simply based in the fact that Madridistas are crying little bitches. Anyways, John Laporta then went on to defend Javier Tebas by saying the following. After the statements made at the assembly attacking the president of La Liga, it makes me think the worst. I've had my ups and downs with Javier Tebas. He's a noble person. Noble? That's a stretch, Laporta. But anyways, let's continue. Who is very passionate about his position. We have a normal relationship, not a privileged one, which we don't seek. We have a normal relationship, and Real Madrid has a confrontational relationship with La Liga, and they're obsessed with getting rid of him. They want to put someone in his place, but I don't trust that strategy. Tebas does everything he can for what's best for La Liga. Again, I don't know about that. So it makes me suspect that, driven by Real Madrid, they're trying to remove him to put who? Here's where I disagree with Laporta, because once again, he's defending Javier Tebas, which honestly, that's not a person that I would ever defend. Javier Tebas is a clear enemy of Barcelona. He's always looking to hurt us. In fact, it was Laporta himself who said that Tebas was the worst thing to happen to La Liga, and that Tebas is not a person that can be trusted. So which one is it, Laporta? Is Tebas someone we cannot trust and the worst thing to happen to La Liga? Or is he a noble person trying to do the best for La Liga? Because you got to pick a lane here. And I'm sorry, but I'm not picking the lane of defending Tebas. Now, I know some people are like, oh, well, it's because Laporta knows him, and it's better to know your enemy. You know what's better than knowing your enemy? It's actually defeating your enemy. Wouldn't it be better to remove Tebas? Oh, but wait, Real Madrid are going to install their own president. You understand that all clubs have to vote on that president, right? Real Madrid don't get to unanimously put a president in there. So let's stop with the bull crap. Let's stop finding any freaking excuse just to defend Laporta. Laporta here is wrong. He's defending an enemy of Barcelona, and that's not something you do. Now, finally, John Laporta defended Ronald Araujo after that red card that he received against Chelsea by saying, I want to, in a way, encourage and defend Araujo. He has been heavily criticized, and I don't think it's fair. He gives his all on the pitch. He's our captain, and now he needs to overcome his this moment because he's a very emotional person with strong feelings. He's had a tough time, and from Andorra, I want to tell him that we're with him, that he needs to move on because here we all win and we all lose, and no person is solely responsible for the defeats or the victories. Now, I do have to say a few things about this. First of all, I do agree it's not solely Araujo's fault that we lost against Chelsea. I think even with Araujo on the field, we still would have lost against Chelsea because the team was playing like absolute crap, and Chelsea were playing much, much better than us. And second thing I want to say is I do like that Laporta is defending Ronald Araujo because I think the right thing is to, as a club, as an institution, to defend the people, uh, your players. However, I will say this is only okay if this is being done in public, but then behind closed doors, it's like, hey, Araujo, you need to get your act together or you're out of here. That's the only situation where it's right. Because if it's, oh, we're going to defend you in public and then behind closed doors, we're going to pat you on the back and say everything's okay, then that's not okay. You reprimand them behind closed doors, you defend them to the public. That's what you do. So I really hope that's not the situation where Araujo's being, defended out in public, but behind closed doors also being told, you're good, bro, everything's cool, because it's not, right? This is not Araujo's first mistake. If it was, that's fine. You say, hey, man, you made a mistake. That's fine. Let's learn from it. If it was the second, be like, all right, bro, you're doing it again, but let's learn from it. But this is his third red card in the Champions League. I think we've run out of chances of learning. Now it's the time to be like, do or die. Now you either fix your mistakes or you're out. But of course, to the public, you're not going to come out and say this. It's better to defend the player in public, but as long as you reprimanding them behind closed doors. Anyways, let's move on to the next bit of news because, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of Araujo, he will not be playing in tomorrow's match against Alaves, as confirmed by Hansi Flick during the pre-match press conference. Flick stated that Araujo has a stomach virus, so he missed 2 training sessions in a row, and as such, he will be missing tomorrow's match. This, of course, has given a rise to the rumors, people saying that maybe Araujo just doesn't want to get booed by the fans at the Camp Nou, and he's avoiding it. But Flick is saying it's a stomach virus, and if that's what the club says, that's what I got to go by, unless I get knowledge or facts of something else. But anyways, I'll leave it up to you guys. You tell me, do you think this is Araujo really suffering from stomach virus, which, by the way, it is the season. Frankie de Jong got caught it. Christensen caught it. Or do you think this is Araujo or the club protecting Araujo so he doesn't get booed tomorrow at the Camp Nou? Let me know down below in the comments section. Now, more news because Flick also confirmed the great news that Pedri is officially back. He will receive the medical clearance for tomorrow's match. However, he will not be starting. That's pretty much routine. But it's expected that Pedri could play between 15 to 20 minutes tomorrow, depending on how the match goes. But either way, whether he starts or doesn't start or doesn't give it a single minute, I'm just happy that Pedri is back from injury because we definitely missed him in the midfield. And speaking of the midfield, Flick confirmed that Fermin Lopez was actually completely healthy for the Chelsea match, that his injury is not a result of the clash that he had with Sunset during Athletic Club de Bilbao match where Sunset received a red card. They're saying that, yes, that hurt, but he was totally fine for the Chelsea match, that his injury came after the Chelsea match as a result of the discomfort in his leg. Now, finally, Hansi Flick did share some statements about his system, but that's not what I want to focus on. I want to focus on because I believe in his statements. He kind of like sent a warning to his players, or kind of like, hey, you guys need to get your act together. Not all the players, more specifically, I think his attackers, because this is what Flick had to say. When we lose and concede 3 goals, it's easy to say that it wasn't a good match or that it wasn't a Barca would like to see. At the end of the day, there are people who don't know what don't know what we need to play with that high line. It's our own style. It's not just about the defenders. The forwards and midfielders start the pressing. That's why I need from the players. The blame seems to fall on the defense, but that's not fair. If we don't all press well, we'll have problems. I want to make that clear. So I think here Flick is sending a message to his players, that his attackers, his midfield, hey, you guys need to press too, not just the defense, because again, for the high line to work, the entire team needs to press. They need to do it in an organized way, and they need to do it all together. And if someone doesn't press, the rest paid for. So Flick trying to sending a message here to his players that everybody needs to press. Rashford, I'm looking at you. But anyways, you let me know what you think about Hansi Flick's statements down below in the comment section. All right, that is all for this video. I'm going live in a few more minutes because I do have more news to share with you, so stay tuned to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, Viscarsa.